lead the seven-side derby, and Bristol City have won it. Martin slides away in celebration. Antoine Semenyo, take a bow. Sykes one-on-one with the goalkeeper. He gets his first Bristol City goal. Oh, goodness me, Andy Vyman.
Well, Merry Christmas to all our Robins out there. It's that time of year again, and a tradition for many. It's Boxing Day football. The players are arriving at Ashton Gate, ready to face off against the Birmingham side West Bromwich Albion. Could it be back-to-back wins against the Baggies? Let's hope that they've been feasting a little too much at yesterday's Christmas table. But on to the football, and back in the studio with me, Louise Gould, this afternoon is club ambassador Gary Hours. Now, Gary, are you all right? Are you a bit full after yesterday's feasting?
No, I'm all right. I was on my best behaviour, didn't eat too much turkey, so yeah, I'm well fed this afternoon, I must say.
And what do you think it is about sort of the tradition of Boxing Day football, you know, getting up early for a lot of people and travelling to see their club, or today just coming to Ashton Gate? Well,
I think some of the gents might feel that they've spent too much time shopping over Christmas and they just want to get back to the football. It's a great tradition. I think it's all about families. All the kids come down here, the wives and the girlfriends, and it was always a fixture that I look forward to when I was playing myself.
Definitely. And what are your thoughts on today's face-off, these two sides?
It's going to be a very tough game. West Bromwich Albion obviously changed the manager recently. Carlos Corberan's come in and done an excellent job. And I think they had 4 or 5 wins on the spin, and then they were defeated against Coventry. So City are going to have to be at the best, coming off the back of a defeat, of course. So fingers crossed for a good performance.
There were some good sort of plays last week, but we've had a mixed bag of results in the last few weeks. But how do we make sure that we do get 3 points on Boxing Day?
I think they'll be up for it, the lads, because there'll be a big crowd, 23,000 I believe. And actually, a couple of weeks ago, they went and won comfortably at Rotherham. Obviously, the Stoke game was a little bit of a disappointment, but that's the beauty of the Championship. You just don't know what's going to happen. So come 3 o'clock, let's hope that all the players are in that tunnel and chomping at the bit.
And you're part of the FPA. How is that going, and how important is it, especially on days like today, to be a part of that?
Do you know what? It's been great. I think it's a really good initiative by the club. It's been great for me because I've got to meet some of the former players that I never knew, some of the Ashton Gate 8, people like Tom Ritchie and that, and it's great to come down here, to go around the lounges, meet the supporters, engage with the supporters, and I think it's long overdue, to be honest, but I think it's been really successful so far.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Gary. Well, let's have a look at today's lineups. Toby Osborne, you have all of the information for us.
I do indeed, Louise. Yes, a pretty chilly but nice day at Ashton Gate this afternoon. We're expecting just over 23,000 fans here, so it makes for a fascinating Boxing Day clash. But what teams will go toe-to-toe today? Well, it's just one change for Carlos Corberan. Jason Malumbi comes into a midfield 3 and replaces Rogic to freshen things up. And what a difference a couple of months make. Down at the foot of the table and managerless when they faced the Robins at the Hawthorns. Williams and Wells compounded their misery that day. Now they're clambering up the table, and it's thanks to goals from all over the park, but namely a more dangerous front 3 in Dyke, Wallace and Matt Phillips. In midfield, John Swift, who had 2 superb seasons with Reading, formerly, of course, of Chelsea, and part of that huge network of players they loan out across the Football League before joining the Baggies. He is in there alongside Turkish international Yokusulu and Malumbi, of course, aforementioned. A back 4 for the Baggies with the seriously experienced Eric Peters, formerly of Burnley, and the Dutch national side as well. And a strong bench with former West Ham man Diane Garner and Carlin Grant in there as well. Bristol City are unchanged today. Despite Atkinson being fit enough to be on the bench, Andy King still starts in there between Zach Viner and Cal Naismith. That midfield 3 didn't really fire against Stoke City. Nigel Pearson will demand more from James Scott and Williams this afternoon. Captaining the side again, as always, Andy Vyman remains at wing-back. Such is his professionalism, playing out of position. Up front, Wales was on the score sheet against Stoke. He will look to carry on building his tally today. His sights surely set on achieving his best total in a season for the Reds, which is just 10 so far. He partners the informed Tommy Conway. As mentioned, Atkinson on the bench alongside the raw power of Semenyo and the electric Sam Bell. So Bristol City with plenty of firepower late on in this game if required. Let's head pitch side now and hear from the man in charge, Nigel Pearson.
Nice, 23,000 people here at Ashton Gate today. How special are Boxing Day matches?
Very special. We've got a few players I don't think have ever had a Boxing Day game to play in. Some of our youngsters, no doubt, are not only interested to see what it feels like, but they're really looking forward to playing. It's an important game in the context of we need to win at home, but I think also there is an element that we're playing against one of the best squads in the league, and we need to be at our best. But I can tell you that the players are in a really good space at the minute.
You talked in the week about players needing to be right at the top of the game, both in training and obviously on match day. Against this particular West Brom team who are doing well, how important is that?
Well, it's vital for us. And whether we're playing teams that are very much fancied, have good squads, or whether they are what other people might consider to be not quite so good aside, let's just leave it like that. This division doesn't give you the opportunity to coast at all, no. And so that's why we need to be at our best. Hopefully our players and our fans have all had good Christmases, and now it's time to go out and perform. So that's the most important thing today.
Named an unchanged team. Yeah. How much deliberation, consideration did you give to that selection?
Lots, because every player's in the thought process. Take away the 2 goals that we conceded, and it was a decent performance the last time we played, so that's the main reason. But I also want the players who aren't starting to be absolutely ready to perform, because you never know in games. You could get a problem in the first minute where players have to be ready. So this next group of games will be, I think, pivotal to what we can achieve this season. And we have to look forward to the challenge rather than be anxious about what the future brings. We can be a very good and effective side in this league. We have to prove it to ourselves a bit more often.
Well, there you go, Nigel Pearson speaking there. Let's have a little look at both teams now. And it's an unchanged team, obviously, for Bristol City. What are your thoughts on keeping Andy King in, and even though Atkinson's fit, leaving him on the bench?
It's an interesting one. I've got to be honest and got to be fair to Andy King. I thought he played well against Rotherham, and he done well against Watford. And obviously there was a few question marks last week. But when you listen to Nigel, I think he makes it pretty clear that he wants some of the players that aren't in the team to do better. So he's been very loyal. He is one of his loyal servants, and you can only hope that at the end of the game he has picked the right team. So time will tell, of course.
And maybe having that experience in there for a West Bromwich Albion side who, as you say, are on the up with that confidence of having a new manager and also having a lot of big team players in there.
So, I mean, sometimes you need your experience on the pitch, and he is a player coach, and he can sort of get that message across. It's just a little bit unusual when you think that he's an out-and-out midfielder. We know him as a midfielder, and he's playing in there ahead of some of the more established defenders, if you like. So it's an interesting one, but, Nigel's a manager, and you have to stick to your guns, and if that's the way he's going to go, then that's up to him. Yeah,
and what are your thoughts on West Brom's side then?
Got some really good players. I mean, I look at that team sheet, and then Jed Wallace always jumps off the page. Excellent player for Millwall, creative goal scorer, and have to keep a close eye on him. Daryl Dickey, I think, has come back into the side recently. Powerful centre forward, and he'll try and get up against Andy King, I'm sure, and isolate him. So it's been an interesting afternoon.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much, Guy. We will go through all the rest of the things we need to before kick-off and have another think about what the result will be today after this short break.
might not wanna get close. We a little wild war, covered in tattoos. Run it up, taking all the views. Stepping on place, feeling the fear. I know you feeling it in the air. Whole squad wearing all black. Motivation's looking real bad. We back to the bone, raising a fire alone. We ain't never needed nobody. Give me 6 feet, this is my party. Ain't got no feelings, we heartless. Take a peek inside the darkness. Blow up the spot, then we run it. Ready or not, here we coming.
So we've got all this outdoor space here, and it's perfect for companies to come in, whether they're small or large. So we cater for maybe a team of 12 or a team of 800. They can come here, have a really positive experience and be rewarded for all their hard work in the office or whatever industry they're from.
As we've got such a big company, a lot of us don't see each other.
Being able for the first time to get everyone out together in one place doing an activity together was great for team bonding and boosting that morale.
We can hone in on specific skills such as communication, leadership, teamwork, resilience. Here we've got a 400-metre military assault course, which is fantastic for team building. If you want a morale booster, this is the place to come.
Welcome back to the Robins TV studio and Ashton Gate for our Boxing Day fixture against West Bromwich Albion. But we can now look backwards to a fixture against them in 2019 where we held on for a 3-2 victory. let's hope it's another win here this afternoon in front of a very full crowd. But last week we saw the first part of Toby Osborne's interview with Tommy Conway around a pool table, and fair to say they weren't brilliant at that, but Tommy Conway has definitely been brilliant on the pitch this season.
What have those moments been like this season when the goals have... You strike me as it's not really sunk in for you yet that you're sort of playing consistently and banging in goals. What was there a goal in particular like I've kind of arrived now, you know, this is...
It gave me goosebumps just then when you said it, but I don't think nothing's ever going to beat that Cardiff one.
Yeah.
So I remember Scott Murray saying to me before the games, like, you score in this game, like, you watch the feeling inside your body, like, you'll feel it. And then when it happened, like, I don't know, just the noise, like, everything. My mum and dad were there. It was like I couldn't have wrote it. And we obviously won 2-0 as well. Like, I keep watching it, like, to this day. And I'll
that's the thing. Scott Murray's Ninian Park goal just shows 20-odd years later, we're still all sort of just watching that over and over. 20 years for you, it'll be the same for you for that Derby goal as well.
Yeah, that one was unbelievable. And then obviously the one against Swansea felt good because it was the time when I hadn't really scored and I hadn't let that affect me, and I had everyone around me saying, don't let that affect you. And then it was like that game, the build-up, everyone was saying, you're going to score. And then obviously the chance come and I took it, and that feeling as well. Because it was my first goal, that end in front of Section 82. Yeah. And I've always said to my mum and dad, like, oh, I want to score down there in front of them and go and celebrate. I don't know if you see in the video, when I score, I'm like going off this way and then I have to check. Because I remember I was like, it's my dream to just go and celebrate over there.
Right, yeah.
So it clocked in my head and I turned and then went and celebrated in front of them, done the knee slide, and then that feeling as well. Everyone was there in the huddle, like, that one was special as well. So I'd say those two for me.
Oh dear.
I'm in a little pickle down there.
That is a mess. Ooh. So family-wise, family of City fans?
I think, because I've been there since I was 7.
Yeah.
Obviously, my mum and dad have always played a big part in taking me to training and taking me to games, I think. Just because I've been there 13 years. Yeah. I think that's a long enough time to start following Bristol City and since you were going to games since I was a kid and they've been coming. I think it's just ingrained in my family now to always follow Bristol City. So I think over time, my family have just become fans. Yeah.
Can you remember what you did after the Cardiff game? Do you sort of go out for like do you all just sort of sit there a bit in disbelief, like because I suppose as well, by that point you've not actually, well, you were obviously scoring goals, took a couple in the cup and stuff, but it's not, you didn't sort of think you probably at this point now, like that's still relatively early on this season.
It was early, and then we played Luton, I'd scored, and then it was Cardiff, and then I scored. So like you said, it was quite early. Now I remember after the Cardiff game, obviously, it was Loud and Sky, and I got man of the match and got that trophy, and I was like looking at that trophy like, have I actually just got that? And then when I went up into the players' lounge and I saw my mum and dad, and I saw the trophy, it was like, we all were like speechless. Yeah. I think we was all like welling up a bit, but nah, it is those days and that we'll all remember. And like I said, when I scored that goal, they were literally right there where I went to celebrate as well, and I could see them, and I think that made it extra special as well.
Here we go then. No pressure. Do you get nervous?
What, here?
Just generally in football.
I think like the first like load of games, it was, and then like almost you just get used to that feeling then. Yeah. You start to channel the nerves, but like early on, like the Cardiff game, yeah, like because you know it's such a big game. Yeah.
Oh, he's done it.
Good game. Thank you.
Good game, Tommy. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, target for the end of the season now, goals-wise, you're on 9.
Yeah.
4 assists.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon you make 20? Can you beat Andy's total from last season? That would be something.
Ooh. I don't want to
no,
do you know what I mean? But
yeah.
I'd love to, obviously.
Yeah.
But I won't say what the figure is, but I've got a little deal with Andy King that if I get to a certain amount of goals, he'll buy me any pair of trainers I want.
Oh.
Yeah. So hopefully I'm getting to it.
He's a Premier League player though, so there's got to be no price. Former Premier League player.
He said,
limit on that.
He said however much.
Really?
He said you pick them and then he'll get them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Remember that then. Well, we'll look forward to seeing those trainers anyway.
Yeah. If it happens, and then when it does, I'll put it out on social media.
Nice.
Thanking him.
Well, Tommy, it's been an absolute pleasure. We hope you make that target, and all the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Well, let's hope Tommy reaches that important number that he's not saying, that total of goals. Tommy has a lot of confidence. We were talking about that, in front of camera, but obviously on the pitch, and we're seeing that this season. This has definitely been his breakout season.
He's been fabulous. I mean, I've watched Tommy for many, many years, watched him as a kid, and watched him grow from a boy into a man, really, and it's really nice to see him doing really well. He is a confident player, and I'm sure that he'll go on to bigger and better things.
And we've also got Alex Scott in there as well. So, I mean, he, in the middle has also been standout, and he did very, very well in the summer with the England youth team. But what is it about these younger players that are coming through that are really impressing, even Semenyo as well?
Well, they've got to be talented, first and foremost. They've got to make that step from junior football, under-21 football, to the senior team. And Alex and Tommy have really done that, really established themselves in the starting 11, and are really part of the furniture here now at Ashton Gate as we head towards another January transfer window. Let's hope that they're both here at the end of it.
Yeah. And then we've also got the likes of Naki Wells, a little bit older, a little bit more experienced. He's on fire, I would say, at the moment. Yeah. He's there in the right places.
He is, and I know that him and Tommy have got a really good relationship on and off the pitch, and that's nice. So they'll sort of drive each other on and motivate each other. And I think you have to take your hat off to Naki Wells, because he was out the team a lot last season, and he spent a lot of time sitting watching from the sideline. He's kept his head down, he's shown a great attitude, he's got himself back into the team, and he's a great example to everyone.
Definitely. So what are your final thoughts? What would you be happy with for today's game?
Happy with a win, obviously, but it's going to be very tough, and I think we've just got to take something out of the game today, because we've got 2 tricky away games coming up, Millwall and Coventry. So I would take a point, but we want 3.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much, Gary. He'll be going up to be with Toby Osborne on the commentary box soon. But it's now that time in the afternoon where we say goodbye to those of you watching on the free live stream, and everyone else is going to get ready for kickoff.